mix of the two.
And someone's playing a demo. Sure. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. That.
Hey guys, it's Troy here with my friend Matt.
What's up?
And now I've gotten loads of requests to make an opinion video for Mario Kart 8. And I have some extra Toad gameplay footage that I never uploaded. So I figured Matt and I would list the things we like and dislike about what we've seen so far in the Mario Kart 8 demos and trailers. And I'm going to have this footage play in the background. So without further ado...
First of all, the game looks fantastic. Like, graphically speaking.
Totally, yeah. It's so much better than the Wii version.
I mean, it's full 1080p, 60 frames per second.
Yeah, and even on the multiplayer, which will be side by side instead of like up and down.
Split screen.
Split screen, yeah. It's going to be 60 frames per second, they've announced, which is really good because the Wii one is literally unplayable.
Yeah,
it's not enjoyable at all.
From what I've seen of the gameplay, it looks like it feels like Mario Kart Double Dash, as far as like bouncing off walls, quick acceleration.
Yeah, exactly. They took out the standstill mini turbo, which is good because
yeah,
I mean, even though that was really convenient, it was took out the entire acceleration stat pretty much.
I mean, back to the wobbling, even with the glider, it looks like it's way harder to control too.
Yeah, the glider. Well, I played the game, and I could tell you right now, it's harder to control than the Mario Kart 7 one. Like, it sways back and forth a bit, so that's a good thing, because it was a little too easy.
Yeah. The game plays a lot faster, it looks like. It looks like the game moves faster. Like, this may not be, like, 150cc, but it looks like it's just, like, playing at 1.2 speed.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, on that same note, the respawning in this game is almost instant.
Yeah, that was another thing we really liked, was because one of the issues is respawn glitches in all the Mario Kart games. There's always at least one, and they're really dumb shortcuts. And it looks like there won't even be a respawn glitch in this game because it never goes to that black screen like it does in the old games. He literally just picks you up the second you fall and just puts you out as close as he can to where you fell off.
Yeah, and it really takes away the ambiguity for people that aren't as good, too. It's like you instantly know that you went off the track. So you know that that's a bad thing, whereas the black screen is just like, what's happening? What's that? What?
Well, I would hope the people knew.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's people of every demographic playing this game too, so you don't know.
But yeah, last is the tracks. They look really beautiful.
Oh yeah,
and I think they play very nicely from what I've seen so far. I mean, considering this is the Mario circuit, which is normally one of the most basic tracks, and it looks so much better than the old Mario circuits do.
I mean, graphically and gameplay speaking, I mean, they play really great.
So moving on, we're gonna go to dislikes. Losing 3 coins every time you get hit by something.
Right, and these are the Mario Kart 7 coins, not the Super NES coins.
Or the Mario GBA coins.
Yeah. Yeah, losing 3 coins every time you get hit it kind of punishes you for having 10 coins in the first place, which gives you more speed.
Pretty much, here's the thing is, because coins speed you up the more you have, and you can only have up to 10. And the thing is, I mean, you should be able to stockpile coins.
Right, you like 10 is the maximum, but you can only hold 10. It's like if they gave you the option to carry 15, but 10 was the maximum that would give you more speed, that would be a little bit more of a balancing factor.
Yeah, I mean, they should just let you get as many as you get, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
They shouldn't, like, I like how they make it so max speed is 10, but they should allow you to get more than 10.
Yeah,
just so when you do get hit by a blue shell, and then a shock, and then you lose 6 in 3 seconds,
you're still up there as far as coins go.
Exactly.
Troy said something about a lack of looking back in the demo.
Yes, I actually got to talk to a person who was working on the game. He was a translator from, I think, English to Japanese. I mean, Japanese to English. And he told me, like, he wanted me to give him advice on, like, what I would like to be added from what I see in the demo. And the first thing I mentioned was you couldn't look back. Like,
I personally think that's just a demo thing.
Me too.
I think that'll be, like, one of the first things
he wrote it
add.
down. Like, he wrote down a few things I said.
Yeah, of course.
Because... I mean, looking back was one of the coolest things on Mario Kart Wii, just being able to immediately look at what your enemies are up to.
I mean, they could have that as a feature for the gamepad. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, the gamepad was used to look at your opponent's items and to get, like, a Mario Kart Wii bottom screen.
Much like the
bottom
Mario
right
Kart DS.
screen view of the mini-map, which is a very undetailed mini-map.
Right.
So, yeah.
You also mentioned no wheelies for the bikes.
Yeah, there's no wheelies for the bikes. They have double mini turbos. I don't know if you'll keep that or not.
I kind of like that, actually.
Yeah, it might not necessarily be a bad thing, because the wheelies made the bikes so much better, along with the inside drift compared to the outside drift.
Right. The game looks a little bit dumbed down right now, but that's kind of a demo, and that's kind of how demos work.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, what you see is not necessarily what you're going to get. The game most likely will have more than what we see right now.
Yeah, you even specifically said that they didn't have any new items in the demo.
Yeah, the guy told me that there will be new items, but none of them were shown.
Right.
Which is what we assumed.
So that's a good thing for sure.
Yeah, along with new characters, which he couldn't tell me.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah.
He would lose his job.
Yeah.
That's a bad thing. We like Nintendo. We love their employees.
Okay, so, yeah. We're going to move on to another section called our hopes for the game. Now, we already listed the things we disliked and what we want changed. These are just like extras.
Yeah, for sure.
Starting it off, 2 more cups for 40 tracks. This has been brought up a lot because they've had 32 tracks for a very long time now. I mean, I'm definitely for quality over quantity, but, you know, if they could add more tracks, that would be great.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what they have going right now is kind of formulaic. So, I mean, to see it changed means that Nintendo's, like, willing to give a little bit on, like, some sort of things.
Yeah.
But, I mean, for new tracks, it's not terribly a lot of development time, but it's more tracks. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, more tracks.
More tracks.
Another thing that is an issue, a lot of people complain about this, is character stats. Now, I'm not really a big fan of character stats, because what it does is it makes one character the best, and everyone uses that character. One or 2 characters.
So our compromise to that would possibly be, like...
Assuming that they are going to put character stats, because they always do.
Right. Is if they added Double Dash special items back into the game to complement stats that may not be so great.
Exactly. So, for example, if Toad had bad stats, he would have the golden mushroom.
Like, if he had a low, like, top speed, high acceleration, like he usually is.
Yeah, like
he would have the golden mushroom that complements
that item, while, like, the characters, like, for example, let's just say that Bowser had a high speed stat, he would have, like, something not as good, you know?
He would have something maybe offensive over, like, a speed bonus.
Exactly, like his shell, you know?
Like his shell, maybe like a flamethrower or something.
Something that people would not like as much as the golden mushroom.
Of course.
You know? So just to, like, compromise it. That wouldn't, like, necessarily fix time trials, but it would fix Wi-Fi, and that's what people care most about for character differences, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And then another thing we listed was a good ranking system. The Wii had a decent ranking system. Like, it was very basic, but it did the job, you know? People were satisfied with it.
Yeah, it worked.
I mean, people get to 9,999 really easily, but then, like, the goal is to keep your 9s, or if you lose it, to get it back, you know?
Right.
That was fine, so I'm hoping they could improve on that, or keep it the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine the way it is, honestly. I like it how it is right now.
Yeah, as long as they don't make it worse. And the last thing we mentioned was a track based off of other Nintendo series. Tracks based.
Or maybe just like references, because in Mario Kart Wii they had the Blue Falcon, and even in F-Zero X for the Nintendo 64 they featured Rainbow Road from the Nintendo 64.
Which was really cool.
Which was intense. They actually like modified the track a lot too.
Maybe they'll add a track from some like Star Fox series.
Maybe,
and
yeah,
make it
even if they had an
Wii.
F-Zero track,
Or
that would
an
be
F-Zero
intense.
track that played well.
Especially because the gravity aspect would really change that too. Like the gravity and the glider aspect would make, like, it would open F-Zero
new
tracks.
doors. Yes, exactly. That would be awesome. So yeah, these were just some of our likes, dislikes, and hopes for Mario Kart 8. It comes out in 2014 spring, and hopefully it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It looks really good right now.
But yeah, thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see you guys later.
See ya!
So Nintendo recently released a brand new trailer for Mario Kart 8, and it looks awesome. But we noticed one little problem. Even though the clips are grouped together by racetrack, they're completely out of sequence, which makes it difficult to get a true idea of how each course is designed. So we decided to fix that in our first chronological trailer, which means we'll show you the gameplay of all 5 tracks in the same order, but this time we've rearranged the clips of each one to show the race in order from the starting line to the finish line. Now of course, we only have so much footage to work with, so there will be gaps here and there. Though we'll try and fill in what we can using the E3 trailer footage too. Now if you want the specific details of how we determine the proper sequence order, please watch our latest analysis linked in the description below. But trust me, it wasn't easy figuring this all out. Oh, and because the sound effects obviously wouldn't be synced to the video, I've replaced the music with some classic Mario Kart tunes. So let's get this chronological trailer started. And there you have it, our chronological trailer of Mario Kart 8. For more details on how we made this and other things in the game, please make sure to check out our analysis linked in the description below. And if you like this video, please follow us and like us on Twitter and Facebook at Gemexplain. There are also links to them in the description below. Thanks for watching, and make sure to stay tuned to Gemexplain.com for more on Mario Kart 8 and other things gaming too.
Buckle up, kart racers. This is Jose Otero for IGN, and I'm here with
Bob from IGN Wikis.
And so, Bob, we're going to rewind the Mario Kart 8 trailer that just went up on IGN, or from the Nintendo Direct. And already, let's just rewind here, already we have something for you right there.
Really big frame here.
Yes. Cloudtop Cruise, Thwomp Ruins, Dolphin Shoals, and Sweet Sweet Canyon. Possible locations you may see again.
Very probable locations, as you'll see coming up.
Yeah, and if you look over on the right, there's Galaxy Air, a cute little nod to Super Mario Galaxy, and a banner for Star Cup, which is probably one of these races, or even all the races you see listed there might be part of Star Cup.
That could just be the whole circuit.
Yeah, you don't know. All right, so moving forward.
Some great tricks.
Yep. Sunshine Airport. I love that, by the way. That's probably the name of this stage, but who knows?
I'm a big fan. They showcase a lot of the different vehicles here, a lot of the different vehicle mods. I'm glad to see the customization from 7 coming back.
Yep. Now, you called this out earlier. What is Wario driving there?
Yeah, it looks like some kind of trike thing. I'm not quite sure. Maybe a new vehicle class, or maybe just a modification of a motorcycle or something, but it looks cool.
You see some Isle Delfino residents. You see another sign with possibly an extra stage listed, but I can't quite tell. It looks like Shy Guy Falls.
Oh, it looks like Toad is standing on a poster for Dry something.
Yeah, so there's a couple other locations listed on the walls too, which is really cool. All right, so keep moving forward. Whoa. Okay. And we're jumping, we're hovercrafting, 0G. I love the transitions between surfaces. Like, jumping in Mario Kart has always been cool, but this right here and the transformations make it even cooler. So right here, we're looking at what is probably Sweet Sweet Canyon. And if you look over to the left, Princess Peach. So it says Peach Daisy. So there's a French word in there. And I looked it up earlier. That is Royal Pâtisserie. I have no idea if I'm saying that right.
Sounds good to me.
But it's a type of French pastry. So I'll take that. Playing up the whole sweet vine vibe. Excuse me. You see a lot of chocolate, a lot of layers. This is a dentist nightmare. We're driving through it.
I'm getting such a huge Wreck-It Ralph, Sugar Rush vibe from this level here.
Dude, yeah, completely. I completely agree with you. All right, next we probably have Thwomp Ruins. So that's a guess. We're not sure. Really awesome. Just to backtrack real quick. So you have the Barbie car for Peach, but you also have this really big rolling wheel, which is like a stage hazard. That's pretty amazing.
And the blue on the wall there looks like you can be hovering on the wall instead, avoiding that whole wrecking ball of doom.
Yeah, for sure. Tossing a bomb back, doing a trick, more zero-G stuff. Oh, yeah, no, you're absolutely right, because that's the same wall that you saw a second ago.
Yeah.
And Waluigi. Will someone let him know that Waluigi doesn't begin with an L? Anyway, continuing on. An upside-down L at that. So, Donkey Kong, this is also part of Thwomp Ruins, presumably. Now, we don't know what this place is. The theory we have is Shy Guy Falls. And why is that?
Because it kind of reminds me of Shy Guy Bazaar as seen in Mario Kart 7.
Yep. Wow, look at that. You see that that little fountain of like sand right there that's just
bubbling
that looks
up.
amazing. Yeah, no, that's a good guess. I like it. A lot of dry, dead desert. Also, I don't think in Mario Kart, I mean, obviously we're not going to play the game with this style of a camera. This is more like a replay style camera, if that. I love those little touches, like
the stars, and the X's, and
the stars, and his eyes are like crossed out. He's clearly been hit. So this is presumably, where is it? Cloud Top Cruise.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. So we see Rosalina again, who is now in Smash. She's been in Kart before. Really cool motorcycle, nice graphics, cool transitions. Oh, what was that? You call it, Bob. What is that they just got fired out of or by?
Oh, yeah, the airship there. Definitely lending credibility to this being the Cloud Top Cruise level.
Yeah, for sure. Wow, that zero-G. The transitions look so cool.
I love seeing like the cloud effects, the lightning, the rain, the hail coming down here on this level.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to more kind of environmental interactive objects while playing this game.
Definitely. And of course, we could have these names wrong. Like, this is just our best guess given the information we have in front of us.
But also seems pretty likely.
Yeah, for sure. Wow. Look at those puffy clouds.
Just, this game looks gorgeous, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, and that's our Mario Kart 8 Rewind Theater. Let us know if you spotted something we didn't. And for more Mario Kart 8 coverage, you know where to keep it? IGN.
Nintendo made a ton of announcements during E3 2013, and among them was Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U. And they didn't just show it off, because we gotta play it too. So you know what that means. It's time to hook up the old analysis machine to see what secrets all the footage might be hiding. And with that, let's get started. So right away, we can tell the game is basically a mashup of the two previous Mario Kart games, carrying over several of the unique features of each one. Take the Mario Kart 7 style coins scattered along the track, for example, which increases your top speed with each one. And like before, you'll max out at 10 and drop 3 if you get hit. Then there's a return to the hang glider and underwater sections, also from the 3DS version. Then from Mario Kart Wii, we have the return to the 12-player races as opposed to the usual 8. In addition, the motorcycles from the Wii version are also back, except in appearance only as they now handle exactly like the karts, which means you won't be performing wheelies for a speed boost anymore. Though to make up for this, they can now access the red second-tier boost, just like the karts. Then there's some features that return from both of the games, such as performing stunts after going off a jump for a quick speed boost, as well as the aforementioned boost mechanic, which is still time-based as opposed to the older Mario Karts where you had to wiggle the control stick. So yeah, Mario Kart 8 is basically what you would get if you threw the previous two Mario Karts into a blender, with one key difference: anti-gravity. Yep, as you've surely seen by now, the vehicles can now race upside down and all around in certain segments, thanks to the new anti-gravity wheels that allow them to cling to certain surfaces, which allows for all kinds of crazy track layouts and alternate routes. and these sections, based on our playtime, always seem to be preceded by a blue anti-gravity strip, such as with this shortcut in E3 Demo's second course, which clearly marks the start of it. But besides the fact that you can now defy gravity, the gameplay remains basically the same, right down to going off ramps for some airtime. Although there is one slight difference. If you ram into someone during an anti-gravity section, you'll both spin out, but it seems to have minimal impact on your driving. So clearly anti-gravity will play a pretty big role in the game. It was featured in all 3 of the demo's courses after all, and even the game's logo is based around this concept. While it is the 8th main Mario Kart game, the logo is also based on the demo's first course, which itself is based on a Mobius strip, i.e. a closed surface that consists of only one side, that in this case resembles an 8. And this design will only be possible with just such an anti-gravity mechanic. And by the way, did you notice how the actual racetrack itself in the first course is held up by support beams? That's a really cool little detail that's almost totally unnecessary in a world where things often float in midair for no apparent reason at all. Now, as you might have noticed, we've been referring to the courses only by the order of their appearance in the demo so far, and that's because they don't actually have names yet. Or do they, as it seems one of them might. If you take a look at this screenshot from the demo's first course, which features Peach's Castle, we can see the sign here clearly labels the track as Mario Circuit. Although it may seem odd that Mario's track prominently features Peach's Castle, this is actually consistent with every Mario Kart game since Double Dash. Then there's the fact that Goombas, though now in stacked form, and pipe piranha plants also make an appearance, which is also consistent with previous Mario Circuit levels. But there might just be something that's inconsistent. In almost every Mario Kart game to date, Mario's racetrack appears later in the game, being featured in the second cup, the Flower Cup, in 6 out of the 8 games. With the only exceptions being the original Mario Kart, which doesn't really count since it had multiple versions of the same racetracks that appeared throughout the game, and Mario Kart DS, where it appeared during the Star Cup, which is still toward the middle of the game. But this time, we actually think Mario Circuit might be the first one you play in Mario Kart 8. For one, its simple design lends itself perfectly as an introductory level, especially since it was also the first level of the demo. And since the game's logo is based on the same track design, it would make sense that it would show up as the first course in order to set the tone for the entire game. And then there's the fact that Mario Kart DS's first course is also a figure 8, and was even called the Figure 8 Circuit. So it seems likely that this Figure 8 course will also be Mario Kart 8's first one, which would actually be the first time a Mario track has started off a Mario Kart since the original game. But in the interest of looking way too deep into things, there could be one slight snag with this idea. You see, up to this point, every other entry in the Mario Kart series has started off with the Luigi course, specifically the 2nd, 4th, and 6th games, being Mario Kart 64, Double Dash, and Mario Kart Wii. And since we're now on the 8th one, that means Mario Kart 8 might just start off in the same way too, at least if it wants to maintain the pattern. Of course, all that could be entirely coincidental too. Okay, if you're not sick of us talking about Mario Circuit yet, there are just a couple of final details I wanted to point out. Like the various signs around the course, such as the one from Mario Motors, complete with the more cartoony version of Mario, reminiscent of the artwork from the 8-bit and 16-bit days. And did you notice the more conventional question blocks next to the oil cans here? It's a cool little detail that's easily missed. And in the trailer we get a good look at what appears to be a news truck reporting live from the racetrack. And finally, did you catch the birds that hang out on the racetrack between lulls in the action? Okay, we're done with Mario Circuit. Now let's take a look at the demo's second course, which takes place in a coastal city highly reminiscent of San Francisco, with its steep hills and cable car obstacles, though these ones are being driven by a Koopa Troopa. And did you notice those cable cars are each themed after a different Mario character, such as the Mario, Luigi, and Wario ones here? And if we look at the front side, we can see they're even wearing their hats too. Even the sailboats bordering the racetrack are themed after the racers in the same way. But despite the overall San Francisco vibe, there's also the statue of Peach out on an island that looks suspiciously similar to the Statue of Liberty in New York. And the mere prominence of that statue might also hint that this very level could be Peach's course. And by the way, did you notice this racetrack is filled to the brim with details? Take the Galaxy Air sign at the start, complete with a Luma from Mario Galaxy, or the nearby DK Burning banner, followed by a Super Mario World one, complete with a dolphin from that same game. And then there's a prominent Toad Toy Store building that you can race along in anti-gravity mode, followed by a Peach and Daisy storefront. And finally, we have this ad for Shy Guy medals, which according to the sign, they've been at since 1987, which is actually a clever reference to the year that Shy Guy made his debut with the Japan-only Doki Doki Panic. Then we have the demo's third and final level, which takes place in the Ghost House. It features an underwater anti-gravity section complete with Bonefish and a split path, as well as a hang gliding section where you have to dodge boos. And just before the end of each lap, you'll have to watch out for some attacking suits of armor possessed by, who else? Those pesky boos again. And did you notice the carts now turn on their headlights when in dark areas? That's pretty cool! Okay, so that covers the 3 courses in the demo that we were able to play, but the trailer actually reveals snippets of 5 more. Now 3 of them we've seen before, as they're remakes of Dry Dry Desert from Double Dash, Music Park from the 3DS version, and Piranha Plant Slide also from the 3DS. And there seem to be no appreciable differences we can tell from these clips, besides a vast increase in overall visuals. As for the other 2 courses revealed in the trailer, well, they're brand new. One seems to take place in the Cliffside Ruins area, but we can't tell much else from it besides the fact that it'll have a hang gliding section. The trailer also revealed a candy-themed course, but again, there's not much to see here besides tons of candy-based structures, like this windmill made out of wafers. But there's one small detail we noticed. In this picture, the house here appears to have an odd-looking insignia above the door. While it looks like a cookie, it also looks suspiciously similar to the flower icons that often represent Daisy, including the ones she wears. Is it possible we're looking at Daisy's course? And speaking of Daisy, we know of 12 of the racers so far, and they are Mario, Luigi, Peach, Yoshi, Bowser, Donkey Kong, Toad, Koopa Troopa, Daisy, Toadette, Wario, and Waluigi. And we're guessing there's still some left to be unveiled, considering both Mario Kart 7 and Mario Kart Wii had many more, with 16 and 24 respectively. And that's not even counting the ability to use your Mii as a character. So we strongly suspect there are at least 4 more unannounced racers, and potentially even more. But who could they be? Well, since we saw Mario Galaxy referenced earlier, we'd be very surprised if Rosalina didn't return. Especially seeing as she's the only character to have appeared in both of the previous games that hasn't yet been confirmed for this one. Besides the Mii, that is, who we also expect to be back. And along those same lines, since we saw Shy Guy referenced earlier, there's a chance he might be back too. Okay, that's enough about the characters, what about the items? After all, what's a Mario Kart game without them? Now while we saw a fair chunk of them in our hands-on time, we can see there are actually even more in the game if we slow down this clip of getting an item box. If we watch it closely, we can see a ton of items cycle through, which includes golden mushrooms, stars, fire flowers, the bombs, mushrooms, triple mushrooms, red shells, triple red shells, green shells, triple green shells, bananas, triple bananas, thunderbolts, and bloopers. And on top of all that, the game's producer said in an interview that the blue shell will be back too. And though he also mentioned the blue shell's traits may be tweaked a bit, every other item we've seen in action all behave as they have in the previous games. Oh, and you can even still drag items behind you too for protection. Unfortunately, they haven't shown any new items yet, but we expect to see at least 1 or 2 new ones like in past games. And speaking of past games, you've probably noticed by now just how much better this game looks than before. Like if we take a look at this screenshot, you can see Mario's pants even has a textured look to it now, like actual jeans. And if we look at this picture, you might be able to pick out some super small details, such as how the wheels now have Mario Motors written on them. And if you take a look at the bike's engine, we can see it has a question mark coin icon as well as a mushroom just above that. Okay, we're just about done here, but as usual, there's still just a few final details left. For one, based on our playtime, it seems you can no longer earn a speed-boosting draft by racing closely behind another racer. But of course, it could just be that it wasn't implemented in time for the demo. And along the same topic, every level in the demo is only 2 laps instead of the usual 3. Although it was probably only set up this way to keep the demo line moving, it could hint that you might be able to choose the amount of laps again in reverses mode, like in Double Dash. Then we got a glimpse of how points are tabulated after every race, and not surprisingly, it's very similar to Mario Kart Wii's, because they both have 12 racers each. However, there is a slight difference. While the top 3 positions still earn 15, 12, and 10 points respectively, everyone 4th and below earns 1 point more than they did before. So basically, if Daisy here were playing Mario Kart Wii instead, she would have won 0 points instead of 1. It shouldn't change much, but maybe the developers just didn't want you to feel too bad? Finally, we have that lovable Lakitu who returns once again, and we can see he still fishes you out if you fall into the water. But this time, instead of cutting right back to you on the track, the camera actually follows Lakitu on his journey, which again is just like the original Mario Kart game. And did you notice his shadow actually followed alongside the building in this scene instead of just appearing as a small circle directly beneath him? It's a nice little touch that helps demonstrate the Wii U's increased power. And with that, we're done covering everything we could dig up on Mario Kart 8. As always, let us know if we missed anything by posting in the comments below. If you enjoyed our analysis, please make sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Gemexplain for all the latest gaming news. Thanks for watching, and make sure to stay tuned to Gemexplain.com for more Mario Kart 8 and other things gaming too. Nintendo finally released another trailer for Mario Kart 8, and what a trailer it was, giving us a relatively in-depth look at 5 racetracks from the game. So you know what that means, it's time to crank up the all-analysis machine to see what secrets the latest trailer might be hiding. But of course, please make sure to watch our previous analysis if you haven't already, as we'll only be covering the new stuff here. You'll find a link to it in the description below. And with that, let's get started. So the first racetrack shown off takes place at a bustling airport in a race that fittingly spans both ground and sky. And this course is filled to the brim with details. Now though the trailer shows off what appears to be a good chunk of the course, the scenes are completely out of order. So we're actually going to rearrange the scenes for a better idea of how this course is going to play. And as it turns out, it's actually one of the later scenes that shows off the start and finish line. Which of course means the race will both begin and end in the terminal. And this following scene shows just a bit more of it off. Now do you see that plane outside of the open cargo hold? Yeah, we'll be getting to that soon. Now an earlier clip from the trailer actually shows what happens next, with the racers dropping out of the terminal and onto the tarmac. And we can also see that soon after you'll have to maneuver around some wooden crates. But check it out, those crates are actually on a conveyor belt, and if you replay the clip forwards and backwards, you can see that they're actually moving too, similar to Mario Kart Wii's Toad Factory. So it looks like they could be a bit of an annoying hazard. Immediately after, we can see that you'll have to race around a jetliner, which is the same jetliner shown off in the trailer's very first clip. Oh, and did you notice how all the racers appear to be landing here? That's because the conveyor belt is raised just slightly, acting as a ramp, as shown off by Bowser here. Now just behind that jetliner, we can see a jump that leads to a slightly raised portion of the raceway that winds around and leads to another jump. But this time you clearly have the choice of two paths. You can either head for the track that extends through the open jetliner that we pointed out earlier in the footage, or you can do as DK does and take the tarmac below. In fact, we get a close-up look at this lower path in this Mario clip here. Now we're pretty sure this next scene takes place immediately after the next turn, as we can see the tail of that same PTT airliner that Mario just passed. At which point, it seems you'll race down a runway yourself, gathering speed via a speed pad on the ground, before taking to the air in a flying segment. All the while, a jetliner takes off from the same runway just behind you. So awesome! You'll soon land on a track far above the airport, which is also an anti-gravity section. And we get a better look at it in this Bowser scene. But after curving around it, you'll take to the air again for landing, once again putting you dangerously close to the flight path of another jetliner that appears as if it may serve as an obstacle. But interestingly, we can see that instead of landing on an actual runway, you actually touch down on a helipad, which soon leads back into the terminal where you'll begin lap 2. And we know there's not much else between these 2 points because of this yellow and blue striped plane here, as it's the same one we see through the window right next to the starting line. So it looks like once you head back inside the terminal, you only have one more right turn to make to complete the lap. Okay, and that covers it for the course's main layout, but there's still a ton of hidden details here, some of which provide even more information on other courses in the game. So first of all, this isn't exactly some super generic airport. For one, it has a clear tropical theme, what with the palm trees visible along the racetrack, and the fact that there are islands all over. In fact, the entire airport is actually on an island itself. Now, if this sounds at all familiar, it probably won't surprise you that the airport is actually called Sunshine Airport, as we can see from the name on the building at several points. And it even uses a shine sprite from Mario Sunshine as its logo. So we wouldn't be surprised if the course is actually called Sunshine Airport. And just to drive the point home that this is a Mario Sunshine inspired level, you'll even find piantas inside the terminal, although toads can also be found cheering you on from the sidelines. Now, Sunshine Airport appears to be home to 3 different Mushroom Kingdom airlines. Galaxy Air, complete with a Luma for its logo, BBIA, which we know stands for Boomerang Brothers International Airline based on a sign inside the terminal, and look, the logo's even a boomerang too. And finally, PTT, which stands for Propeller Toad Transport. And their logo is that of a toad wearing the propeller suit from the new Super Mario Bros. Games. And we can even see some crates of theirs lying around, complete with a serial number on each one. But could that number mean anything? That MK at the end probably does stand for Mario Kart after all. And we can even see ads for all these airlines all over the terminal. But the terminal also has signage for something far more interesting. If we check the signboard here for flight times, we can see it lists several destinations. In this scene, we can see it lists Cloudtop Cruise, Thwomp Ruins, Dolphin Shoals, and Sweet Sweet Canyon. And in another scene, we can see another signboard that lists many of those same destinations, plus a few more, including Shy Guy Falls and Bone Dry Dunes. But here's the cool thing. Those don't just appear to be made-up names. Instead, they seem to refer to other courses in the game. In fact, from this very same trailer. Check it out. Between the Thwomps and the Ruins in this scene, we quite clearly have Thwomp Ruins. Next, we're guessing Sweet Sweet Canyon refers to this course full of candy goodness. Then Cloudtop Cruise very likely refers to this track that takes place amongst the clouds in the sky. And then there's Bone Dry Dunes, which likely refers to this level that's both dry and has bones all over the place. But that still leaves 2 destinations unaccounted for, Dolphin Shoals and Shy Guy Falls. So we're pretty sure these 2 are actual courses in the game as well. And since this airport level is themed to Mario Sunshine, we wouldn't be surprised if Dolphin Shoals might be as well, particularly as Mario Sunshine took place on a dolphin-shaped island called Island Delfino. So that covers it for the flight information screen, but there are still other course references hiding here, such as the ad on the right here for a region called Mysterious Sands, Dry Desert. Does that sound familiar at all? That might be because Dry Desert is the name of a track originally from Mario Kart Double Dash, which, as we pointed out in our last analysis, is also being remade for Mario Kart 8. And next to that is a super small ad for what could be another region. If we zoom in, we can see it's an ad for a water park completed with a picture of a Koopa Troopa. Could this be referring to a brand new level? Although with the emphasis on water and the fact that Koopa Troopa's here, it does bring back memories of Koopa Cave from Mario Kart Wii. So if this is indeed a new course, it might make sense for it to take inspiration from that one. Particularly since its underwater tube feature seems perfect for Mario Kart 8's anti-gravity mechanic. And while we're here, did you spot the Star Cup banner on the wall? Which means, yeah, this course is probably going to be part of the Star Cup. Now in the other terminal clip, we get a look at even more signs, including an ad for Sweet Sweet Canyon, with imagery that not only confirms it's the name of the course from this trailer, but also that it could be Peach's level. Alright, and that about covers it for Sunshine Airport, so let's move on to Sweet Sweet Canyon. Now interestingly, we actually got a glimpse of this level way back in the E3 trailer, so let's see if we can't piece the 2 trailers together to try and figure out how this track's going to work. So once again, the new trailer shows off the start and finish line, and we can see that there are both Yoshis as well as gingerbread spectators taking in the spectacle from the sidelines. But it's not just gingerbread men in the crowd, as we can see gingerbread toads too. Now this next clip shows what lies just beyond the starting line, which includes a row of item boxes and a trek through a tunnel. At some point after that, it appears you'll take to the skies to race around a giant cake. Now if you look close, we can see the path ahead clearly drops down. And if we rewind the footage a bit, we can see some decorations marking what we're guessing is the racetrack below. So it seems you'll race around the cake down into a lake made of soda, which takes us to this scene where you'll come across an underwater, or shall we say under soda, fork in the road. One path is blue and the other is pink, but both of them appear to lead through an area being saturated with soda from the spraying bottles nearby. But regardless of which path you take, we have clips showing that both will lead you out of the soda. Now to see what happens next, we actually have to turn to the original E3 trailer, and here we can see you'll wind around a few turns as you pass several windmills made of wafers. And if you take a look at a clip on the new trailer, we can see those same windmills in the background just before a drop. And if you freeze that clip right here, we can see the markings on the ground that indicate the finish line, as shown in the first clip, confirming that the original E3 clips came from near the end of the racetrack. So that covers it for the general overview of the course, but there's still a few other details I wanted to point out. For instance, we already mentioned how this course may be Peach's due to her appearing on the ad in the airport, but in our previous analysis we noted it may actually be Daisy's level because of the flower on this house, which resembles the one Daisy is known for. And adding to this is the crown that sits on top of the cake, which is also identical to Daisy's, with even the same flower visible here. So who does this course belong to? Well, it may actually be both Peach and Daisy. Because, if we zoom in on the cake's insignia here, we can see that it states Royal Patisserie, Peach and Daisy. Now, a patisserie is a French bakery, and since Peach and Daisy appear to be working there together, this level seems as if it may actually belong to both of them. Now let's take a look at that soda sequence again. First off, did you notice that each of the soda bottles has some kind of label on it? We're not sure what exactly it's of, but it does bear some resemblance to the Nipper plant first seen in Mario 3. Oh, and did you catch a Cheep Cheep swimming around here? That's a cool touch. Alright, and that wraps it up for Sweet Sweet Canyon, so let's move on to Thwomp Ruins, which, as it turns out, is a level we also saw in the original E3 trailer. Except back then we had no idea what it was. But we know they're the same level due to the similar looking structures, such as these pillars which are identical. Unfortunately, we don't have very many clips of this one, but let's see if we can work our magic and figure out the course's layout using the scenes from both trailers. So for once, we think the level's first clip may actually be the one that actually comes first in the level. Now even though the camera angle is from within the tunnel, if we look through the entrance, we can see a banner held up by two pillars. And we think that banner might just be the starting line. If that's the case, it appears you'll almost immediately enter this tunnel after the start, at which point you'll have to watch out for these giant stone wheels. But where did they come from? Well, if we rewind the footage, we can see what appears to be another stone wheel waiting to be released on a track above. Now within this tunnel, you'll also have the option of sticking to the main course or taking the anti-gravity wall section, which might be a good way to avoid those wheels. And we get a glimpse of both routes with Peach here, who takes the lower one, and Waluigi, who takes the wall. Now we think that you might exit the cave into this thwomp-filled area, and here's why. If we pause it when the camera looks behind Donkey Kong, we can see that he just emerged from a tunnel himself. Now once you reach this area, you'll be faced with the option of 3 main routes. Well, 4 if you count the water option. Now each of those 3 is guarded by a thwomp, so you'll have to be careful as you drive underneath them. But it seems it'll be easiest to do this using the paths on either side, as they have anti-gravity wall sections, while the middle path doesn't, but also appears to be the most direct and probably the fastest. Also, the column just right of the thwomp there appears to have a bird's nest on it. What's that about? Does it do anything if you ram the pillar? Or maybe it belongs to a bird that lives here. Of course, it could just be a background detail too. Now, do you see that giant thwomp in the wall ahead? His mouth is actually a cave entrance, which we get a look at from the inside with this scene. And we know it's that same cave since we can see the thwomps just outside. Now here, it looks like you'll have a short drop followed by another anti-gravity section. And that covers it for all the new footage, but we think these clips from the E3 trailer may be what come next, as they don't seem to fit anywhere else. And since they're outside, it makes perfect sense that they'd link back up with the starting line we pointed out at the very start. So assuming that's the case, it looks like you'll have a slight downhill ramp, followed by a brief flying section. Upon landing, you'll find a set of item boxes ahead, and a curve to the left, with perhaps a finish line waiting just beyond. Okay, and that about covers it for this course, but there's still one more thing I wanted to point out. Why oh why do the thwomps have 2 faces, one on each side? What's up with that, thwomps? Why you gotta be so creepy? Next up, we have this desert boneyard-like racetrack, which as we mentioned before, appears to be called Bone Dry Ruins, based on the signboard in the airport. So once again, let's rearrange these clips to get a better idea of how this level will work. Thankfully, the track's first clip actually clearly shows a starting line, and here we can see several toads watching from the sidelines. And if we look to the right, they even appear to have their own pirate ship, as indicated by the toad sails and flags. But it's not just toads that get in on the fun, as we can see a Shy Guy flag here too. And if we go a bit further into the footage, we can see some actual Shy Guys spectating from behind a fence. At some point after, you'll pass by another toad ship as you go around a gentle bend. And if you watch closely, you can see that this one's actually moving. But is it just there for decoration, or does it factor into the gameplay in some way? Either way, it looks like you'll have to avoid taking the turn too wide, as you might risk falling through the holes in the fence right next to the first set of item boxes. Now this next clip gives us a really good idea of what comes next. And we know it comes next since we can see that same toad ship and fence in the distant background. Oh, and did you catch the lighthouse here? I guess it makes sense with all the ships roaming around. Now it appears after you make that bend following the ship, you'll cross a bridge where you'll reach a brief fork in the road. And both of them lead to a set of item boxes, but one track is at a slightly higher elevation and looks to be just slightly longer since it's on the outside of the curve. Now after the track rejoins, you'll pass by a bone piranha plant making his Mario Kart debut. But we're guessing he'll behave just like previous piranha plants in the series, and snap at you if you get too close. Oh, and check it out! There's another split path here allowing you to go to either side of the piranha plant. And we get another look at it in this next scene, where we can see both paths joining up shortly after the piranha plant. And speaking of dual paths, there's another fork in the road just ahead. Although the racetrack does continue as normal, you also have the option of taking this bony pathway that's also an anti-gravity section. And we can see that it extends for quite some distance, free of hazards, while racers on the main path will have to contend with another bone piranha plant. Although this next clip does suggest that only the lower path will have coins to collect, so it's not all bad news. Anyways, both of them lead to another set of item boxes before rejoining at a flying section as shown in this clip. And it appears you'll be gliding into a tunnel, whose entrance is actually that of Dry Bowser's mouth, which we actually get a better look at in the previous clip. Yeah, it's unmistakable. Now, as you glide toward the cave, we can see a sand spout below, but is this an actual hazard or more for decoration? It does seem like it'd be pretty easy to avoid, although we do know its height can change based on the sand geyser seen earlier in the footage. Anyways, at first glance, it appears there's only a single path in the cave, being the wooden pathway. However, it appears that the floor of the cave will be drivable as well, as we can see a banana peel planted there from a previous racer. Unfortunately, that's it for all the clips of Bone Dry Dunes, so we're not exactly sure what else will come before the racetrack's final turn leading to the finish line. For our final racetrack, we have what we're guessing is Cloud Top Cruise. Again, that is going by the signboard in the airport. This time, the race seems to take place entirely in the sky, with you racing on both clouds and beanstalks. So let's see if we can't reassemble this footage into the proper race order too. Luckily for us, one of the clips once again shows the starting line, giving us a good place to start. And as we can see, the race begins on a beanstalk before leading to a set of item boxes on a ramp. Oh, and did you spot the paratroopers watching nearby? Now that ramp leads to a platform adorned with Bowser's head that you can bounce off of to reach a cloud pathway. And look, there's an airship in the background, but more on that in a second. Now we can also see a couple of bends coming up, which this next clip gives us a better look at based on the starting line in the background. Okay, now we already know the airship is coming up next, and sure enough, in this scene we can see the racers inside the very airship being launched from its giant cannon into a flying section. And along the way, they'll pass yet another airship that has a raised warp pipe on it, similar to the airships from Mario 3, which is a cool little detail. And in the background, you can once again see that bouncy platform from before, which supports the idea that this is the proper sequence of events. Now that cannon actually launches you to an anti-gravity track section among some storm clouds. And by the way, did you notice Bowser's head adorns the landing area? And speaking of the landing area, this Baby Mario and Baby Peach clip gives us a better look at it, followed by this Mario one, which leads into a boost pad section, which we get a better look at in this series of clips. Although it seems to be pretty straightforward, there does appear to be one major obstacle in this section, which are the lightning strikes that seem to only target the boost pads all 4 times we see them. So it seems like going for a speed boost may be a risk in and of itself. Unfortunately, we never actually see the beginning of a strike. However, at several points we do see these odd glowing balls above the track, which likely indicate where the next strike will hit. Anyways, this anti-gravity section eventually terminates with another set of item boxes and a flying section that leads back to the beanstalk, and then to the finish line just around the next bend. Oh, by the way, did you notice the landing area here is marked by a giant question block, complete with the classic 4 rivets? Which means the beanstalk is actually growing out of the question block, just like in the classic Mario games. How awesome is that? Woo, and that covers it for all the tracks we know about so far. But between this and the E3 trailer, it brings the total courses that we know about up to 11. 8 of which are new and 3 are returning, which means if the game matches the amount of courses of every other 3D Mario Kart game, there are still 8 new ones left to be shown and 15 returning ones we don't yet know about. Now beyond the racetracks, the trailer also confirms a few new playable characters, and they are Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, Baby Peach, Baby Daisy, and Rosalina, which brings the roster up to 17 characters total, which includes the other 12 we already knew about, being Mario, Luigi, Peach, Yoshi, Bowser, DK, Toad, Koopa Troopa, Daisy, Toadette, Wario, and Waluigi. So far, this matches the amount of characters in Mario Kart 7, but falls short of previous console entries, including Double Dash's 20 and Mario Kart Wii's 26. But since Mario Kart Wii is also on the console, we're guessing there's still a good amount of characters yet to be shown, including me, who's appeared in every Mario Kart game since their creation. We also wouldn't be surprised to see Shy Guy return, since he does seem to have a track named after him after all, and maybe even Paratroopa too, since we've seen him hanging out in one of the racetracks. Now these new characters also give us a look at some new vehicle options that you'll be able to customize, including these adorable vehicle bodies shaped after flying Bitty Buds from the Mario 3D Land and World games. Then there's Rosalina, who shows off a new motorcycle complete with Princess Orange decals. We're not entirely sure what they mean, but hey, they're there. And the older characters show off some new vehicles too, such as this badass ride of Wario's, complete with exposed engine, and the same question block insignia we noted on some of the bikes in the previous analysis. Then a few characters show off a new ATV with 4 headlights. And finally, check out Peach's tricked out car here, complete with a speaker system in the trunk. In fact, if you zoom in and slow it down, you can even see the speaker move as it pumps out some tunes. Pretty fancy there, princess. Alright, and that covers it for all the game's main features. But there's still a few final little details I wanted to point out, such as the game's visuals. Now, I mean, we already knew this was a great looking game, but the new trailer really shows this off, particularly in the smaller details, such as the fact that every race course has a thematically appropriate starting line. Take Bone Dry Dunes for example, which is held up by bones, whereas one in Cloud Cruise is supported by vines. Moving on, we already knew the plans at Sunshine Airport have had a ton of attention lavished on them, such as the fact that their landing gear even goes away during flight. but did you catch the surprisingly realistic looking reflections on the planes as you drive past them? And speaking of planes, you can see the shadows are accurately rendered according to the position of the sun, as opposed to always appearing directly beneath them, as illustrated by this scene with the airplane shadow appearing to the side. And that seems to apply to all shadows, including Yoshi's here. And speaking of realistic details, in this scene we can see that even the reflection of Mario's headlights changes to match the environment. And while we're on this clip, did you catch that Mario's mustache even moves now too? And it seems it'll apply to any character with facial hair, as we can see it with Wario as well. Then, check out the lighting effects here, as the sparks generated from the carts colliding light up DK from below. And we can see another small touch in this scene. When Waluigi gets taken out by a shell, his eyes change to X's. Neat. Then there are the tire tracks that appear when driving through the clouds. And we wouldn't be surprised to see that same effect pop up elsewhere, like in a snow level. And speaking of level details, as you might remember from our last analysis, we pointed out that the Mario Circuit level actually has visible support beams holding the entire thing up, suggesting a slightly more realistic take on the art style. And that continues even here, where we can see floating track sections are actually being supported by the attached helicopter blades. It's kind of an odd detail for a game series where things often float for no reason, but it's cool all the same. And with that, we're done covering everything we could dig up from the latest Mario Kart 8 trailer. As always, let us know if we missed anything by posting in the comments below. If you like this video, please make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Gemexplain. You'll find links to them in the description below. Thanks for watching, and make sure to stay tuned to Gemexplain.com for more on Mario Kart 8 and other things gaming too.